Welcome to the show, everybody. This is episode number 226 of the Iron Coop Bites movies. This episode is available on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, and hosted by SoundCloud. I'm Kier, your host. With me on the show today are my co-hosts Emerson
Hey, what's going on?
and Everett.
Hey, what's up?
This week, the team reviews The Last Duel. I'm going to explain our rating system. On this show, we give the titles that we have watched a rating of win, draw, or loss. A win is a title that we would highly recommend, while a draw is a title we didn't love but recognize others may appreciate. A loss means we do not recommend the title. Now on to our review of the week. Jean de Carrouges is a respected knight known for his bravery and skill on the battlefield. Jacques Le Gris is a squire whose intelligence and eloquence makes him one of the most admired nobles in court. When Le Gris viciously assaults Carrouges' wife, she steps forward to accuse her attacker, an act of bravery and defiance that puts her life in jeopardy. The ensuing trial by combat and grueling duel to the death places the fate of all three in God's hands. Trial by combat. All right, Emerson, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm going to give this movie a win. I think it has a lot of flaws that we will talk about more in spoilers, just with story structure and length. But overall, I actually enjoyed this decently. I thought it was interesting. I thought the way they tried to do it with multiple points of view is a ballsy thing for movies to do, because you always risk it being boring or too long or retreading previous ground. But overall, I found it pretty entertaining, and I would tell someone like, hey, go watch this, because I think this is something interesting. I think this is something you'd enjoy. I thought the combat and the fighting was pretty cool. I thought overall the story and the history behind it was interesting. And I think it was, a pretty decent movie and a far cry from a lot of the stuff we've been watching lately. Whereas this was trying at least to be its own thing, and it didn't feel as derivative or shoehorn and like, oh, it's just like everything else. As I said, there are some flaws which we will go over, but for me, it's a win.
Everett?
I'm going to give it a draw. First of all, I should also say that I really love the medieval knight, like this period century aesthetic. I really love like that old fashioned stuff. I think Ridley
What
Scott.
years was this set in, Everett?
What was it, like 14 something?
It was 13.
13 something. Okay. Well, I wasn't far.
It's the late 1300s.
I
think it
think
was
Ridley Scott's a
1396.
really great director. I did think the movie it kind of slogged a little bit at times, just because they had to retell the whole thing 3 times. But I didn't necessarily think that was a bad thing at points. But I do have a story to tell you guys. I have a story to tell you guys. So
Okay. Did you get raped in the theater?
It's a matter of opinion. I had, I think, one of the absolute worst theater experiences I've ever had in this
Worst?
movie.
Even worse than when we almost fought that guy?
I said almost worst. This is
Okay.
top 5, easily top 5.
Okay.
So I almost left like halfway through the movie. So I get into the theater, and I had bought my tickets online. This theater was empty when I bought my tickets the night before. Empty, completely gone. I like to sit in the corner because it gives me the best view of the theater.
What?
So I was sitting in the back.
Wait, the
a
best
weird-
view of the theater, not the screen?
That's what I mean. Like, I can see the screen best. That's just whatever.
In the
That's just-
corner?
yeah.
How does
Everett,
your
you have
mind
this
work?
amazing talent where, like, in the midst of a story about something, you like create like spin-off stories that are like need to be explained. It's like
Okay,
a
well,
really cool.
Let
talent.
me get to this.
But
Let me
who
get to
thinks
this.
that way? Who thinks I'll
I
sit in the
think
corner
that
because
way.
it's the best view of the screen?
I have my own reasons for why I like sitting in the corner, but we don't need to get into that. So anyway, okay, so I'm sitting in a theater by myself for like the first 15-20 minutes. Trailers are going on. The movie's about to start. Right as the movie starts,
Wait, you were the only
3
one in the theater?
I was the only one in the theater.
So you were in the corner in an empty theater.
Mhm. But as I said, okay, let me finish. So as the movie starts, like right as the movie starts, 3 bumbling drunk idiots walk into this theater. Empty theater. They sit 2 seats down from me in the back. So yeah, they sit down. They're all really talkative. They see the theater's empty except for me, so they don't give a shit. They start talking. They start laughing. They start giggling, whispering to each other, eating loudly. I'm one of those people that finds the like chewing and smacking of lips really annoying. So the whole time they're going like really, really loud, like obnoxiously loud. So that was terrible. Loudly talking, saying the movie sucks, like really loud, like imagine like dude bro voices. But the worst part was, first of all, I should also say, I moved my seat halfway through the.
I was gonna say, like, why?
I went down 2 rows, but I could still hear them.
Wait, isn't that where they were sitting?
No, they're sitting in the back. I moved.
There were 2 seats next to him.
Yeah, they were 2 seats next to me.
The side.
I moved.
Oh my god.
I moved.
Maybe you were gonna get raped.
During the assault scene, in both, it happens twice. Slight spoiler. It happens twice. They show it twice. Both times, these guys are howling with laughter, like nonstop giggles and laughs. It was unbearable. I almost got up and left. I reported them to the people outside.
And let me guess, nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened. But
the fact that they were laughing is actually really funny. Like not that someone laughing at rape, but them in the theater laughing. and then the scene happens twice, which is even funnier.
This is one of the worst experiences I've had in the theater, though. So whatever.
Ours wasn't too bad.
Well, it was annoying because Kia leans over at it. He's like, "We buy our seats." The first people are like, "Oh, let's sit right next to him."
Yeah, this keeps happening where I buy tickets for an empty theater because like I buy them like a week ahead, and it's a smaller town and like whatever. It's not like there hasn't been Avengers Endgame. It's been like shitty movies, right? So I buy them. I always buy the best seats because it's empty, like in the middle, whatever. Why do people buy the tickets right fucking next to us? There's no one else in the row.
Yeah, and I always get so fucking sick because I can always fucking hear the dipshits like little comments, and it's not as annoying as Everett, but like they're like watching the trailer and like the guy like sees the trailer for like something. He's like, "Oh, this looks kind of scary." And it was like fucking, I don't even know what the fuck it was. It was like, and I was like, oh, this guy's kind of, and like, I just hear them like mumbling. He's like, "Oh, you want to go see that? Or you think it'll be like too long?" Like, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like, no one cares.
Yeah. And then like when we sit down, they always like look at us like, "Oh, really? Are you guys going to sit here?" It's like, you knew that these seats were occupied when you bought them. Why did you?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't, part of me does not miss the theater experience, at least in that.
I don't miss it.
I don't miss it.
I would have much rather watched this on TV.
There hasn't been a movie yet that we've reviewed basically since what was the last movie that you guys would have, if you had the choice between at home or in the theater? What was the last movie that you would choose the theater?
I mean, assuming you could watch them, you could watch it at home as fast as seeing it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's not a lot. Maybe Suicide Squad, but
what?
Maybe that's something I would have liked to see in the theater, perhaps. But I'm glad I got to watch it on TV.
For me, like I'm like thinking back to like Avengers Endgame for like the hype in the theater is like the last thing I remember.
I mean, if I'm allowed to watch it like right away, like at midnight or whatever,
yeah,
I would rather have like friends over and we'll watch it at my house, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a movie at least coming out that has come out that I have that experience for. Spider-Man's the only one.
There are some films that I think like I do believe that like the big screen, the
Far From
sound.
Home in the theater was not bad.
That
might be it. That might be the one.
There are some films that like I do believe that's a good thing, but like in a perfect world, I'd be able to go to the theater by myself with just my friends and no randoms. Then I would do that. But like,
if I could just go to a theater with where I like everybody was just quiet, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just not. It's whatever.
Okay, so we're on to your review now.
My review is a draw. I thought it had its moments, and up until the rape scene, I was like, okay, it's a win, but it's long. Then the rape scenes I think, were just way over the top and didn't really actually help too much narratively. Because like, I know you guys didn't all see the trailers. Ever? Did you see the trailers?
Yeah, I saw the trailers.
I didn't see any of the trailers.
So I give it a draw. Let's go into spoilers. In the trailers, it shows Le Gris like closing the door behind
Mhm.
him. So I assumed like the rape scene was going to sort of be like that, and there would be some mystery as to whether or not it happened. And but to get like two full reenactments of rape, like
Yeah.
two in a movie, and it's the same rape too. It's like two separate scenes of the same rape, and then I don't know. By the second one, I was like done. I was really just sick of the movie. I was like, not only is this taking way too fucking long, but now you're like, I mean, what is the purpose of that
Well,
type of
so
scene?
the thing that I found interesting about it, because I agree with you, like and we kind of talked about this after the movie, how it would have been more interesting is if it's like the second rape scene would be a retelling, or like we
I mean,
didn't
it was.
necessarily. Yeah, but like I mean like a verbal telling, like some like we didn't. But what was interesting to me is they tried really hard to show you like little changes between Legree's story and
Hmm.
her story, and like so like and you know that I respect them trying to do that, because it's rare that you see a movie where they go out of the way to be like three people or two people can look at a situation that is like relatively the same, like both of their stories like broken down into broad parts are the same, Legree and her
I think
story.
they're pretty much the same, like the whole way through. It's
Yeah,
just,
except like
There's like slight
the
changes.
second scene, it's like very clear that it was like a full-on rape.
yeah, but
And
that's
the
that's the
first,
weird thing because you watch the first one and you go, "That's a rape," and then they show you the real rape, and I'm like, I don't understand. Was I not supposed to think that that was a rape before?
yeah, and
Because it
that's what I was going
definitely.
to talk about. Like, what the thing that I think screwed them in this was that I guarantee you there was a version of this where like Legree's story was like not a rape. I'm probably not, but like at some point someone thought like, because that's what you assume, right? The first story is it happened. The second story is like, no, 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 it was totally consensual. But then it's like, no, the first one's a rape and the second one's like a hardcore rape. Um, and so where I think they lost it is like I think one of the stories, either Legree's or hers, shouldn't have been seen. It should just have been told, like at the court.
I
And
don't think any either of the scenes should have been seen.
They,
Either of
they
the
sort of
rapes.
did it at first. I mean, they describe it first, but then yeah, they show it to you. They should have just kept it at the description.
yeah, and I'd be fine with that. But once again, the thing that I'm interested in is like this movie, like it's risky to have like I'm gonna tell the same story from three different perspectives, because
It's
you have
risky
to
because
like,
it's a bad idea in terms of
yeah,
pacing and like,
no, and I agree, but
yeah.
like I kind of like taking that risk. Like I'm like I like that they're like, okay, we're gonna try this.
Yeah, I don't hate them for that. I do sort of hold them accountable for the rapes because we were sitting there before at the restaurant before the movie, and we looked up the runtime, and I saw it was 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I'm pretty sure I told you I like said that's weird because it doesn't seem like there's that much
Yeah,
story to
you
tell,
did say that today.
and like I'm not in the movie business, so you think that a guy who's like producing it in Hollywood, like Ben Affleck or somebody, would have gone and said, this is actually why is our movie so long? Could it be the fact that we're like retelling scenes multiple times in our story? And like, what is the actual impact? Insignificant overall. Um, like for example, so like Jade was talking about this in the car. She thinks that the Legree version, like, there's a lot of problems with his version, but the rape specifically, she says that that is meant to be her that is meant to be consensual. Like not just from his point of
Medieval
view,
style consensual,
medieval
yes.
style.
Mm.
But it's like, okay, I get that he's like doing a romantic gesture, but he also forced his way into her house
Mm-hmm.
and he did like follow her up the stairs and she did say no and
Yeah,
she definitely didn't say yes. And then there was no indication afterwards that she was like into it.
yeah, and so I would agree with both you and Jade in this scenario, because I agree
Well,
with
I,
Jade
I
that
I don't really agree with her.
well, I agree with Jade in the sense that that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to make Legree's version be like medieval consensual. But I agree with you that it doesn't really come off that way, which is why and like, you know, I didn't really dig into how accurate this movie is based on what happened, but like maybe that literally is what Le Gris said at the court. He was like, "Yeah, it happened, but it was consensual." Like,
Well, no, so that's a narrative problem because he says it was because they like had to do it and it was they decided to keep it a secret or whatever. But the problem is the fact that she reports it kind of blows that up. But Legree never confronts that because his plan is to just deny, deny, deny.
mhm.
So like the movie never really addresses the fact that if he thinks it was consensual, how does he reconcile the fact that she's saying now that
Yeah,
she was raped?
and I think it would have been more interesting if he pushed the idea that it was a consensual relationship.
Yeah,
That
but that's not
she,
what happened in history. That's
I know, and that's why I'm like, I
I
kind of
agree
get
though.
why.
I think the movie would have been better had he done that.
Yeah, and like, and then you have like, and that also could have played into the fact that her husband, Jean de la Couronne or whatever, is kind of a dick. Like, because he would have been pissed because he's, I mean, even without him saying it was consensual, Matt Damon, he's like, did you do this? Like, what did you like? You thought he was handsome? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
So let's get into what I think is the fix for the movie
okay.
because so I think that the movie should have been told in a linear way. Now you
Okay.
might say, well, it was really cool that they showed us like an incident from 3 points of views. The problem is I was probably the only person in the theater thinking this, but I'm literally sitting there as the credits are rolling or like it's like fading to black. And I'm like, who was the main character? Like nobody, I'm sure nobody was like asking themselves that question. But the
Well,
reality is it starts with Carrouges. It starts with him, but it ends with his wife. They switch main characters through the movie. And they even like take a detour and go to Legree. And I'm not saying in the sense that it's three parts. I'm not saying there's three main characters because of that. But if you actually track like what the story is about, Carrouges is all about like respect and like his dignity and like his name and being recognized. That's also how the movie ends. But then they sort of like hijack the movie and turn it into like Marguerite telling the truth. But the movie's not really about that. So you had a main character, you had an arc that actually is very complete. Carrouges' arc is very complete. Legree is just in there. He's not a main character, and like his arc is kind of non-existent. He and also I would even say like the way they portray him, the rape seems so out of character. Even if it is the consensual version that he says. He's in the Carrouges version, he's presented as like kind of a nice guy.
yeah. And I also want to say, like with the out of character, it's not really explained why like he just decides to show up that day. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was going to
Like,
ask you guys. Did the mom set her up?
I think not purposefully because the mom heard, at least in Marguerite's version of the story, she says like, I feel so isolated. And Matt Damon's like, precisely. And the mom's like smiling. And then I took it as the mom was just like fucking with her by taking everybody. So she had to be alone in the castle for a day,
Yeah.
like with no one there. But then the thing that doesn't make sense to me is like, it seems like Legree, like something happened that pushed him to be like, I have to go right now, right? Like,
So this is again why the
what
movie
is it?
fails narratively. It's the incident where he demands to be called the knight.
Why does that? Why
But
does that?
do you see that happens in Legree's version?
Mhm.
So you already like the rape has already been reported and happened in Carrouges' version, and then they go back. This is why this is a flawed like structure. Then they go back. Like personally, for fun, I would go back and like re-edit this movie just for fun, just to put it in like a linear way.
Mm.
But I think you would need some reshoots. But what it is him and Legree are like at major odds. Like Legree is not addressing him as sir. But the
Mhm.
movie almost makes it seem like it was accidental.
Yeah.
But they have a legitimate beef, and Carrouges says, "I'm going to Paris for 3 days." So Le Gris knows. And then there's this other thing that isn't really explored is like Le Gris takes his stuff
Yeah, he
Yeah.
takes everything from him the whole movie.
as a writer, but no, because in the movie, it's all indirectly. Like the land is from Pierre, the captaincy is from Pierre. Then he rapes his wife, Le Gris. But like as a writer, I would have leaned into that. I would have been like, they like there's like a falling out between them, and Le Gris takes every opportunity to kind of get back at him, as Carrouges takes every opportunity to like publicly sue him or whatever, and they're feuding. And Carrouges gets the night thing. He embarrasses Le Gris in public, and Le Gris goes, "I'm gonna go take his wife." And you could still put in like he thinks his wife is too good for him. I would have leaned into that hard. That whole the theme of Le Gris takes from him. The problem is like going into the duel, and I'm purposely not talking about the duel too much because I think that was actually a good part of the movie. But and like we'll just discuss it at the end, I suppose. But the thing about the duel is going into it, I think you should not know who's telling the truth. Because that's kind of the point, is that it's not about who is telling the truth. It's
Mhm.
about who wins. So going in, you should not be like, I'm rooting for this guy or against this guy. But the movie, sorry, it tells you that if Carrouges loses, then the woman who we're told is telling the truth will be burned for 20 minutes until she's dead. So you're automatically like, yeah, I hope Adam Driver doesn't win. Because like, yeah, I don't want that terrible thing to happen to the innocent person. So so then on top of that, they show you two rape scenes. Like whether you think the first one was not rape or not, whatever, but they basically show you two rape scenes. So you're definitely fully against Adam Driver at that point.
Mhm.
So are you supposed to think that Carrouges is like the righteous one?
I don't think you're supposed to think Carrouges is righteous. At least what I took from Marguerite's truth is like, and what I think the movie wants you to think is that Jean is like he's a dick. Like he's not a great husband. He's kind of a dick to Marguerite at least, but he's not evil like Le Gris is. Like he's the lesser of two evils is what I think the movie is getting at.
Right. The thing is, so in the trailer, there is the scene where she says like, "You're not doing this for me. You're doing this to fight your enemy, whatever." So I knew that that was coming. Like I knew that that was his hook. What I was really surprised by was that they waited till the end of the movie to do that,
Mm-hmm.
which is like that should be his whole thing. So if you tell the story in a more linear way, like basically the story structure should be it's Carrouges' version
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, and also Marguerite's version when she comes in. Like it should just be the way it happened. The thing is, you should not really see the rape. What you should see is him like coming to the house, like the whole thing where they're feuding, there's tensions. He knows he's gone. He comes to the house, but you also like because she did flirt with him, right? She flirted with him. She said he was handsome. So he comes to the house, and you don't actually see what happens. But when he comes back, when Carrouges comes back, she says, "I was raped." Now you're wondering, like, okay, I mean, I don't want to say that she's lying, but also there were all these other things that happened. But then why would she say it? Which
Mm-hmm.
kind of tells you that she's telling the truth. So then they make the charge. Carrouges, or sorry, Le Gris talks to Pierre, and he tells her his version of the story. Which then you could do a reenactment if you want, where you
Mm-hmm.
could show it in pieces, like not as a full scene as you did. They showed us two full fucking scenes. This is a 2.5 hour movie, like from beginning to end of her opening the door to like he ejaculates and leaves, like full scenes. We don't need it twice, just to show her like in one she like kicks a lot, and the other she kind of kicks. Like that's the main difference. So he could do a reenactment in pieces showing like it's a little more sensual than you might have imagined a rape to be in his version. But then I think it's right that Pierre tells him deny, deny, deny. But still, as the audience, you go into it thinking, Was it kind of consensual? Like, was there something going on between them? I think you still need a reason for why she would have claimed rape. Maybe because she got pregnant, and so she
Yeah, that
didn't.
was a late
Mm.
plot point to add. I thought that was going to be bigger.
Yeah,
Let's
they
get
kind
to
of just
that. Let's get
they
to
kind of
that.
glossed over it.
So as he denies it, the audience doesn't know, and then you just get to the duel. Like you're talking about like 110-minute movie, maybe 100 minutes instead of 2.5 hours. What is that? 150 minutes?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot that they had in there that really didn't help a stronger narrative because you're going, the woman that raped is innocent. The husband is the one we want to win, even though we don't really like him. And obviously the evil guy should lose. It took them over 2 hours to just set that up.
Mhm.
Like all that land shit, none of that matters because she got raped. We don't care about any of that shit now.
Well, but it does
Mhm.
kind of set up like that Le Gris keeps like taking from John.
But it doesn't matter what he did before. He raped her. So like he raped her. He's the bad guy. Like you don't need a theme. That's why like it doesn't really help. That's why if you do it in a linear way, it sets up the feud. Carrouges is your main character who says like I, this guy has done it to me again. And you see that in her version. That's why I say it has to be a mix because in her version, like I was expecting her in his version, I was expecting him to like be more violent with her, like when she said that, because that was like the time period. You see that in the third version. That should have been the only version we saw. And
Mhm.
uh then he says he turns around and he says, "Will this guy stop like trying to ruin my life or whatever?" Like he internal like because it's clearly about him and Legree. Like he's not thinking, and I think that that was a nice touch. But again, I don't need that other scene. Then this is the right scene. This is the scene we need to see.
Right.
And then he does. Then he rapes her. I mean, by today's standard, he rapes her. He like says like you need to have this sex now because like he can't be the last one who had sex with you. And I don't know. Like I guess you can put that in. I don't know if that really helped the movie or not. Um, uh, So let's talk about what that whole pleasure thing. So they thought that you couldn't get pregnant unless you had pleasure. But she got pregnant. It
Yeah,
was
and
Yeah.
whose baby was it?
I don't know. Like it doesn't seem to be addressed. However, based on the look of the fucking baby, it looks like it's Caron's baby.
It looks like Marguerite's baby.
I kind of thought it was Adam Driver, whatever his name is. I think it was his.
But that's the thing. They don't really discuss it at all. Like that's kind of a big deal. They specifically point out that she got pregnant right after the rape.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Well,
why would you
that was
say
like that
that?
was their whole argument. That was their whole argument because they're using the whole bullshit like you can't get pregnant unless you feel pleasure. So
And
therefore, if it is his, she must have felt pleasure. Therefore, it wasn't a rape.
and what about Carew? Like, how about the fact that he now has a male heir, but it may not be his? Like, he doesn't address that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's weird. I guess
Yeah,
back
because
then maybe you couldn't, but I don't know.
yeah, I mean it was strange.
So that was, I mean, it's not well written, to be honest.
Well, this is what I'm saying where it's flawed, but I think the reason I'm giving it a win is that I honestly, and I mentioned this to you after Key, and I don't want to just start seeming like an elitist or something, but like I really enjoy when I see a movie that is different from just the same rehashed trash that I feel like we
I
see
agree.
almost every other week.
I agree. But I think like many things have proven to be, it is an age thing, and at like it this to me this isn't good enough. I probably would have liked this when I was your age. What I forget. You're like
24.
yeah. So I probably would have thought this was a really good movie, just as I thought like Christopher Nolan's movies were like spectacular. I mean, they are, but not as much as I thought looking at them
Mhm.
now. I the writing is flawed, and it's hard for me to get past that. I also get kind of offended when a film doesn't take my time into account. like you're gonna make a 2.5 hour movie, you need to consider the fact that that may not be the best way to tell this story. Don't make me sit there for 2.5 hours if that's not absolutely necessary. And also, like, I'll be honest, I gave it a draw. I didn't hate the movie. Are you guys ever gonna watch this again?
I probably will.
Probably not.
I'm not gonna sit through this 2.5 hours. I'm not gonna sit through this. I might watch the fight scene on YouTube, but I'll never sit through this thing again.
I think I probably will. I'll probably watch it with someone else.
Um, so let's talk about the duel. Basically, I thought that the duel was really good,
Mm-hmm.
except when he gets kicked in the head by the horse. That was stupid.
Oh yeah, that was a little strange.
The fight was basically over at that moment, and he gets kicked in the head by the horse.
Yeah. That's like instant
Also,
concussion.
that would have killed him. Like,
Yeah.
let's be real.
It would have killed
He's-
him, but like, why wouldn't he stand like a little to the side so where that wouldn't happen? I mean, it's not
he
like
parries the horse.
it's not like he hasn't been around horses. Like he knows they kick. Like I don't know. It's just like that's Hollywood, right
that
there.
one was, yeah.
That's-
But
that-
for
that's
most of the
their,
duel, I liked like how they showed how hard it was to actually kill someone in armor, and like that they were fighting in like non-standard ways, and it was like half brawl. Like I enjoyed that part of it.
I thought Carrouges was gonna bleed out afterwards.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. I thought
Instead,
it
he
was
went
gonna.
and died in the Crusades. Kia started laughing with the end credit scene came up, and then I started laughing because all I could think of was that fucking scene in The Simpsons where Homer gets on like Itchy and Scratchy, and they
Poochie.
kill off, yeah, and they kill off Poochie by being like, Poochie's returning to his home planet, and he died on the way, like, and then like that's all I could think of, like just like he's dead. Like,
Yeah, it's weird when movies like I like when main characters die at the end, but usually it's tied to the story, not like, oh, by the way, he's dead. Like
yeah,
he
he went
died
to
like
a
shortly
crusade.
after.
Yeah,
I guess
Like,
it would have been. It would have been. This is based on a true story, but I guess it would have been interesting to see like he kills Adam Driver and then he dies, so there's no victor. So
That's-
her fate's kind of left up to interpretation.
Well, that's kind of what I thought was gonna be the ending. Remember my formula for storytelling, which is there's what the character wants, there's what the world wants of the character.
Mhm.
If both are satisfied, it's a happy ending. If one is satisfied and the other isn't, it's a bittersweet. Neither is satisfied, it's a sad ending. Those are obviously very rare. So this movie is like what Carrouges wants is respect.
yeah.
Like he wants a respect, and what the world wants from him, I don't really know, and I think that's part of the problem.
Well, it's also interesting because like I looked up a little bit about like Carrouges, or God, I can't even pronounce his name.
Carrouges.
Carrouges, later on. And like after this happened, him and Marguerite had 2 more children. And he became the bodyguard for the king. So like
Right.
after this, he like kind of like became
Yeah.
like very successful. And him having 2 more children with her, like that changes a lot.
See, this is
He got the respect he was owed.
this is when I say what does the world want from him? What that I think boils down to is his wife wants him to defend her honor. And so that's why it's weird when you do this three-way story and his arc really doesn't get solidified until the end of her story, which is the end of the movie basically. So anyway, let me read a little bit from the Wikipedia here because I think that this Wikipedia is actually much more streamlined. So you know that Argenton, the friendship between Carrouges and Le Gris began to deteriorate as Le Gris rapidly became a favorite of Count Pierre. While Carrouges was overlooked, Le Gris was rewarded for service to the court, inheriting his father's lordship of the castle at Xmas and being granted a newly purchased estate. Carrouges became jealous of this friend, and the 2 men became rivals at court. So that's pretty straightforward. That's a good story to tell. You guys see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like if you look earlier, it was Le Gris was his neighbor. This is his first wife and neighbor and close friend, Squire Jacques Le Gris. Yeah. Yeah, so they were all just like a close knit group or whatever. That's how the story should begin. And then, so like, remember when they showed that first battle,
Yeah.
and they're like, um, Carrouges saves Le Gris' life,
Hmm.
but then in Le Gris' version, he is the reason that the rest of the army like charged with him.
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't really like contradicting. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point of why wasn't that just? I mean, you could have just shown that all at once. Why did we have to go watch the scene twice
Well,
just
because
for
I
you?
think so. See, I agree what you're saying, but I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to like see. It turns out like, uh, Jean's is like really like he's the hero, and then Legree is like, no, I'm really the hero. Like,
But they didn't
you
even
know,
do that. It
yeah.
never even came up again. So it's like, okay, did we even need to see the scene, or was that kind of like studio notes? We need an action scene inserted at the beginning.
Mm.
Um, the two men became rivals at court. Tragedy struck Carrouges as his wife and son died of unknown but natural causes. He left home and joined the service of squires. He distinguished himself in minor actions. All right, so he was kind of a war hero, which whatever. The way Pierre talks about him makes it sound like he's a moron. But then he married Marguerite, only daughter of the highly controversial Robert, whatever. He was a Norman lord who had twice sided against the French king. Betrayals he was lucky to survive, albeit in reduced circumstances. He hoped to restore his family status and give Carrouges a young heir. Shortly after his marriage, Carrouges revealed another motive for the union. The valuable estate given to his rival Jacques Le Gris 2 years earlier had been formerly owned by Carrouges' father-in-law and had been bought by Count Pierre, 8,000 French livres, whatever. Carrouges immediately began a lawsuit to recover the land based on an assumed prior claim to it. The case dragged on for some months until ultimately Count Pierre was forced to visit his cousin King Charles VI to officially confirm his ownership of the land and his right to give it to whomever of his followers he chose. The law reflected very poorly on Carrouges at the court and resulted in further estrangement from Count Pierre's circle. That's a much better way because Carrouges is definitely wrong in that circumstance.
Mm.
Hmm.
They tried to muddle it up and make it seem like he was wrong, but he wasn't at all. So
Yeah.
like this is what I mean where you don't need to show this three different ways. There's one way to show this is that he's a troublemaker. Like he causes trouble basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gave it to Legree and he's jealous of him. I mean, he's a conflicted character. Like he's a good guy. Legree is evil, but Legree also did not like take this himself. But he does have all of Carrouges' things, basically. 2 years
Mm.
after the lawsuit, Carrouges was once again in court facing Count Pierre, this time in dispute over the lands administered by his recently deceased father. Carrouges III's death earlier in 1382 vacated the captaincy of the castle of Belém, a post Carrouges the fourth believed would be his by right. However, due to the failed lawsuit earlier, Pierre passed Carrouges over for the captaincy and gave it to another one of his followers. See, it doesn't even say Legree. This
Yeah.
infuriated Carrouges again, brought legal action against his overlord, blah blah blah. So the movie takes liberties and makes it Legree.
Yeah.
Which
Mm.
I'm like, if you're going to take liberties, then make a better story. Um, third effort, and looks like he was denied again. Um, he tried to sell some stuff. Pierre refused to permit the sale and insisted that Carrouges turn the properties over to him in exchange for a full refund of the original price paid. So he got burned 3 times. That didn't need to be in the movie. And then he went to Scotland, um, attending a party to celebrate the birth of a neighbor's son. It was Legree's son in the movie, right?
No, it was
Was,
the other guy's son.
was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Carrouges and Legree met at a celebration and agreed to end their quarrel. Carrouges introducing Legree to his wife Marguerite for the first time. A few months after this meeting, Carrouges attempted to increase his family wealth through military means by joining the army of Jean de Vienne for an expedition sailing to Edinburgh. This force of about 3,000 was intended to unite with the Scottish army. On arrival, blah blah blah. Basically, it didn't go well. The Scots ditched him. The Scottish army dispersed, and the inhabitants fled north, leaving the French alone in the city. Realizing that his force was outnumbered and without food or help, Vienne took the army south, rounding the English on the night of the 10th of August. Blah blah blah. And the French army boarded the ship and returned, bankrupted and defeated. Despite the expedition's failure, Carrouges had distinguished himself in the campaign. Although he had lost 5 of his 9 men at arms and a substantial amount of money, he had also been awarded a knighthood on the battlefield, substantially raising his social status and the amount of money he received for military service. Despite it being in poor health, Carrouges had business in Paris, and in January 1386, he traveled there to collect his wages for the previous year's campaign, leaving his wife with her mother-in-law. Before setting off for Paris, Carrouges visited Argenton to meet with Count Pierre and there announced his intention of continuing to the capital. What followed was a sequence of events that remain unclear, but which would have a dramatic effect on the lives of all concerned. What is certain is that Carrouges entered his rival Jacques Le Gris, or encountered his rival Jacques Le Gris.
Wouldn't that be a fucking twist?
Yeah, at the court of Count Pierre, and words were exchanged, although what it was said is unknown. In contrast to his bankrupt rival, Le Gris had not been on the Scottish expedition and had grown wealthier in Carrouges' absence. Le Gris also had a reputation as a fierce and strong soldier, in addition to that of a notorious womanizer, a reputation that may have played a part in the allegations that followed. Dame Nicole de Carrouges departed her chateau at Capo-Mensil for the neighboring town of Saint Pierre-sur-Dive, where she had legal business to attend to. Although the journey was only a short one, she apparently took some or all of the household servants with her, leaving her daughter-in-law unattended during the day. Marguerite's testimony then alleged that a man at arms named Adam Lavelle knocked on the chateau door, which Marguerite opened herself in the absence of servants. According to Marguerite, Lavelle then made inquiries about a loan he owed Jean de Carrouges before suddenly announcing that Jacques Le Gris was outside the door and insisting on seeing her. At her refusal, Lavelle exclaimed that he loves you passionately, he will do anything for you, and he greatly desires to see you. See, that to me, based on this, sounds like he's lying. He's trying to get in the house. It seems like that's how it reads to me. Although Marguerite protested, Le Gris then forced his way into the house and propositioned her, offering money if she would remain silent of their affair. So he doesn't want to take her away. He wanted to have sex with her. And he probably just wanted to step on Carrouges' territory. When Marguerite refused, Le Gris then violently raped her with the aid of Lavelle and threatened her not to tell anyone what had occurred on pain of death. Marguerite remained silent of her ordeal for several days until her husband's return on the 22nd or 21st of January, whatever. Upon hearing of the encounter, the outraged Carrouges summoned his circle of courtiers and friends, including his mother and most of Marguerite's family, and a council was convened where Marguerite repeated the account. Carrouges decided immediately to begin legal proceedings against Le Gris, but faced great difficulty in prosecuting them, as Le Gris was a favorite of Count Pierre, who would act as a judge in the case. In addition, the case was viewed as weak in this time period because the only witness was Marguerite. Indeed, the trial was so one-sided an affair that Carrouges and his wife did not even bother to attend. Pierre acquitted Le Gris of all charges and furthermore accused Marguerite of inventing or even dreaming the attack. So you see, this story really doesn't need 3 versions. It's got a pretty good, wait, what is actually going on? There's plenty of mystery here. A good storyteller could make this work. In search of a fair trial, Carrouges traveled to Paris to appeal to the king himself, knowing that his case depended solely on his wife's testimony and was therefore viewed as weak at the time. See, at this point, at the point with Pierre is where you hear Le Gris' version or see it, whatever. But, and then from here, it should just keep going linearly. Instead of proceeding with a normal criminal trial, Carrouges would challenge Le Gris to a judicial duel, the survivor of which would thus have been deemed by God, blah, 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 trials by combat. They were rare. Carrouges saw this scheme as the best option of procuring justice and redeeming his wife's reputation. That's what the movie is all about, ultimately, is restoring his reputation and like getting back at Le Gris. A few days after his arrival in Paris, Carrouges was presented to the king in order to make the first official appeal in the lengthy trial process. In doing so, he captured the imagination of the French court, which later became so fascinated with Carrouges Le Gris trial that it would shape its schedule around watching the culminating combat. They presented themselves to Parliament, reciting their accusations, throwing a gauntlet down signifying their intention to fight. Declarations were pronounced in front of the king. Decided to hear the case, blah, blah, blah. Persuade Le Gris to insist on a church trial, but these proved unsuccessful as Le Gris wished to counter the accusation with a lawsuit against his opponent claiming 40,000 livres, I don't know how you say that, for defamation. Following the declarations, a number of high-ranking noblemen stepped forward to act as seconds in the duel for both men, including Walleron. What does a second mean? If the guy doesn't show, you got to fight for him?
I feel like I thought it was more like you're like like you're gonna back them up, but like the
I
guy
thought-
who's
Yeah,
waiting on
like
them,
those
giving them
seconds,
the lance.
those people, that were in the combat. Like one guy got hit by the horse. Remember?
A second
I
was a
guess,
friend who
yeah.
came along to help prepare your weapons, make sure the other duelist wasn't going to ambush you, and make sure the rules of the duel were being followed.
Okay.
So
Speaking
you
of
can-
that,
you can get fucked up doing that.
I realized Carrouges' second was the guy from The Crown, Tommy Lascelles.
Oh yeah.
That's who it was, yeah. The criminal trial continued for most of the summer, blah, blah, blah. They were all called to give on evidence. Marguerite was visibly pregnant, although medieval medical knowledge claimed that children could not be conceived as a result of rape, and her condition, therefore, was determined to have no bearing on the case. Adam, I mean, it's definitely his kid. Adam Lavelle and at least one of Marguerite's maidservants also gave evidence, and as was the custom of the day for people of low birth, they were tortured to test the veracity of the testimony. I mean, I kind of wish I would have seen this instead. During this process, neither produced evidence. Have you guys seen the movie The Conspirator?
No.
No.
That might be one we should check out because I think it's maybe does this better. During this process, neither produced evidence incriminating Le Gris, although Lavelle was subsequently challenged to a duel himself by Marguerite's cousin. In his evidence, Carrouges' statement primarily repeated and supported his wife's testimony, while Le Gris accused Carrouges of inventing the charges and beating his wife into making the accusations against the squire. Okay, so there's a reason why she possibly might have falsified this claim. The movie doesn't really give us that. They throw some things out there, but none of it makes any sense. In his statement, Le Gris painted a picture of a man driven wild with anger and jealousy who sought to restore his family fortune by concocting false accusations against his most significant rival. Yeah, I mean, Le Gris also offered alibis for his whereabouts during the entire week the crime was supposed to have been committed and attempted to explain that it was not possible for him to have ridden the 25 miles that supposedly separated him from Marguerite on the morning in question. A rebuttal from Carrouges emphasized the shame the trial had brought to his family as a reason against its invention and offered a counter demonstration of horsemanship, indicating that the suggested 50-mile round trip was not impossible, even if Le Gris' alibi was true. Le Gris' alibi was compromised some days later when the man providing it, a squire named Jean Belleteau, was arrested for committing rape in Paris even as trial progressed. Shouldn't this have been in the movie?
That would have been fucking funny.
Yeah. On September 15th, with the king in Flanders preparing for an invasion of England, the parliament handed down its verdict as they had been unable to determine the guilt in the case. The two men would fight a duel to the death on November, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me interject for a second. That line in that description where it says that he was like an expert on horsemanship and therefore proved it. Didn't they have like a whole thing in this movie for like 2 minutes where he was like breeding a horse?
Horses, yeah.
Yeah, they went on about. I feel like something like that was supposed to be there, but they took it out. Otherwise, why even mention all that horse stuff?
See, this is why it like all that third act stuff. She's in there. She's in there doing all sorts of things that are unrelated to like the rape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's fine, but you're getting off the subject. You know, you need to take the best of it and condense it into one story. Trial by combat. Great activity of the two parties. There was 2 months until the duel. And then at one point, the event was so popular that King Charles VI believed that his return to Paris in time for the combat would be held up in Flanders due to bad roads. He sent a fast messenger to Paris, delaying the duel by a month in order that he would be present to witness it. In the months between trial and duel, they both gave birth to sons. Oh, the queen gave birth to sons.
Can I
Marguerite's
ask
son
a question
Robert.
real quick?
Yeah,
The king, was he like a sadist or something? Because
No, he
I
goes
think he's
insane
crazy.
later.
Yeah,
Yeah, like later in
Oh.
life, he actually loses his shit, and I'm pretty sure Carrouges is one of the people who like has to like capture him when he like runs off on campaign.
yeah.
Jesus.
While Marguerite's son Robert was strong, a healthy boy, the Dauphin was a sickly child and died on the 28th of September or December. Um, Rather than descend into mourning, the king ordered a frenzy of parties and celebrations, the pinnacle of which was intended to be the duel between Carrouges and Le Gris. Also present, dressed in black and sitting in a carriage overlooking the field, was Marguerite. Should her husband lose the battle, she would be burned at the stake immediately following the duel, having been thus proven guilty of perjury by its outcome. I mean, this is a lot of buildup that I would have liked to see instead of, we've said it. There's a lot of redundancies in the script. The combatants took the field in the early afternoon, mounted and dressed in plate armor. Both carried a lance, longsword, and a heavy battle axe known as the Holy Trinity, and a long dagger called the Misericordia. Carrouges appeared first, reciting his charges against Le Gris to the king and the crowd before Le Gris followed and did the same. Le Gris was then knighted in order that he and Carrouges be of equal standing during the fight. I wanted to see that too. Both knights then dismounted and gave oaths to God, the Virgin Mary, and St. George, thereby sanctifying God's judgment over the duel's outcome. Finally, Carrouges approached his wife and pledged his honor before her, kissing her and promising to return. As the field was cleared, silence descended on the arena following the king's instructions that anybody who interfered in the duel would be executed and that anyone who shouted or verbally interrupted the combat would lose a hand. Readying their steeds, the knights squared up at the martial signal, charged towards one another. Their lances struck but failed to penetrate the thick hides covering the shields, and the combatants wheeled and charged again. This was a good part of the movie. This time striking one another on the helms. Rounding once more, the knights charged a third time, again striking shields, and this time both shattering their lances. Reeling from the impact, the warriors drew their axes and charged a fourth time. Slashing and kicking at one another in the center of the field, they traded blows until Le Gris, the much stronger man, was able to drive his axe through the neck of Carrouges' horse. As the beheaded beast tumbled to the ground, Carrouges jumped clear and lashed out with his own weapon, disemboweling Le Gris' steed in turn.
Jesus.
Now on foot, I mean, it's kind of crazy how equal they were. Now on foot, the knights drew swords and returned to battle. Le Gris, again proving stronger than his opponent, slowly gained the upper hand. After several minutes of engagement, Carrouges slipped and Le Gris was able to stab his rival through the right thigh. As the crowd gasped and murmured, Le Gris stepped back. Carrouges used the opportunity to grab the top of Le Gris' helmet and topple him to the ground. Le Gris' heavy armor prevented him from regaining his feet, and Carrouges repeatedly stabbed at his floored opponent, his blows denting but not puncturing the thick plate steel. Realizing that his sword was inadequate, Carrouges straddled Le Gris and used the handle of his dagger to smash the lock holding Le Gris' faceplate. Even as his opponent struggled beneath him, Carrouges broke the pin holding the lock and tore his faceplate off, exposing Le Gris. Carrouges demanded that Le Gris admit his guilt. Le Gris refused and cried out, "In the name of God and on the peril of damnation of my soul, I am innocent." Unable to obtain a confession which would have condemned Le Gris anyway, Carrouges drove a dagger through Le Gris' neck, killing him nearly instantly. Standing over his vanquished opponent, Carrouges remained on the field as the crowd cheered him and the pages rushed to bind his wound. He then kneeled before the king, who presented him with a prize of 1,000 francs, in addition to a royal income of 200 francs a year. Only then did he greet his wife in an emotional scene before the thousands of spectators. Jean and Marguerite de Carrouges, then, with the crowd following in a great procession, rode from the abbey to the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris to give thanks for the victory. A few weeks after the duel, Parliament awarded Carrouges a further 6,000 in gold and a position in the royal household. Um, Began further legal action attempting to exert his earlier claim about the land. However, this land, which Carrouges so coveted, remained beyond his reach. Count Pierre, who held the land, never forgave Carrouges the death of his favorite and held the estates from court. Yeah, and then I think there is something here. Carrouges accompanied the king on a campaign and was thus present when the royal army entered Brittany. The French king, who believed himself to be under attack, lashed out at the nearest person to him. The man happened to be his brother, who then turned and fled from his brother's sword, killing several pages, blah, blah, blah. King set off on full pursuit of Louis, leaving the army strung out on the countryside. The pursuit continued for hours until the exhausted king was eventually subdued by his bodyguard, including Jean de Carrouges. So, yeah, there's some whatever. I don't know. I think that this is a much better story.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
sounds really interesting.
Agreed.
Well, you have a fight of the week, Emerson?
Yes, I do, actually, Kia. So you have been challenged to a duel. Everette has been wronged, and
great.
you have been chosen. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to put Everette in this. I did consider. I was like, we could have you fight Everette. That we know how that goes. We
I'd
could have you
lose
fight me.
immediately.
We know how that goes. So here's the thing: you're in.
But killing Everette is part of the joke of every fight of the week.
That's true. So maybe we could
Have me be your secondary, and I get killed by your opponent.
Yeah, Everett's key is second, and like a stray piece of wood from the shield.
Yeah.
Impales him. Kia picks up the body and bludgeons the other guy to death. So if you were in Coron's position,
Every time you say his name, you say
I
something
change it.
different.
I know it's Corion, right? Or Coron?
Carrouges.
Carrouges. I'm just gonna call him Jean. If you're in Jean's position, would you what would you have done if you were you're in this position? This has happened to you. Would you immediately go for the duel? Would you do you think you could beat Le Gris?
So if I was in Carrouges' position, I think I would go for the duel. But that's assuming that I had been wronged so many times and I just hated
Mhm.
this guy. Your name meant so much back then. To have someone openly disrespect you, he has a lot more money than you. He took the land that you wanted. Then he took your father's place that you were supposed to have, and then he raped your wife. Yeah, I would probably convince myself that it was worth dueling instead of justice, legal justice. Also, there is a point there is no justice with Pierre's court. You'd have to go to the king, and you have no real proof because it's he said, she said. And you can't just live with the fact that this happened. And if Marguerite is saying, I want you to get justice for me.
So do you think you could beat Le Gris?
Well, that is different because, today obviously I would their fighting is so much different. They're basically wrestling with a sword in their hand, but they wear so much armor that the sword is almost it's not that important, because you just bang it off their armor until one of them falls. So it's I would almost choose to wear lighter armor and wrestle the guy, but that's because I'm a wrestler. Back then, I don't know, but what does he have to live for? Even especially if he thought that the kid wasn't even his. Why not? You might as well fight to the death. You win, you're a hero, and they can't say anything. So, yeah, I would have gone for it for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Everette would have been the guy that got trampled by the horse.
So oh yeah, for sure.
100%.
But so let me give you a bonus one then. Hypothetically, right? Me and Everette are your opponents on the field. Okay. It's me and Everette versus you. What do you do?
2 against 1?
Yes.
But that goes against the whole medieval
I know,
chivalric code.
but I think it's more fair that way. Because if it's just me against you or just Everette against you, we know what happens.
I feel like Everette would not engage properly, causing you to lose. and then I would just kill him after.
Can you imagine me and you were sword fighting and Everett like gets a spear, throws it, hits me in the back. I fall down. You're like, thanks, Everett. Everett's like, fuck.
Like I don't want to get double teamed, so I need to kill Everett first. I think would be the better. Although Everett does have experience with like weapons, swords, and stuff, so maybe you would be better off. But I feel like you fight harder. I'm not sure. Hard to say. But I feel like Everett would back off and be more cautious, which would then turn it into a one-on-one fight, basically. And that would be bad.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. We've never done that, have we? Like 2-on-1?
No.
Have you ever done it with someone else against me?
Yes, I did, but that was like
Like in
just
boxing or
wrestling.
something?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, it was wrestling, and it like we kept fucking each other up. It was me and Wolf versus you, and like we kept getting in each other's way.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah. Wrestling's hard to do like with two
Yeah, because
people.
you can kind of like button up and like use them against you.
Yeah. Yep.
That would be something fun though if we ever got like Nikki had those knife fights. Remember?
No, we did. Yeah. Remember we were doing the body shots with me versus you and Nikki, and I punched you in the throat twice by accident.
That's true. You did punch me in the throat.
Ever what
That
happened was
fucking
like
sucked.
we were only doing like Nikki made like a tiny space in the corner, and all three of us had to like stand in there, and like it was me versus two of them. It was like crazy conditioning. Like we weren't trying to knock anybody out or anything, but it was like really hard conditioning for the guy that was like getting
And we
double
were
teamed.
rotating,
Mhm.
right? Where we would like
Yeah, we were like
rotate.
switch. Yeah, and then because Emerson's like a little shorter or whatever, like what I tried to do was like keep him in front of Nikki so that I would only have to fight Emerson. But then sometimes Nikki would get in the way, and then Emerson would try to like double team. So I threw a hand out there and I immediately hit the throat.
Yeah, it fucking sucked.
And he's like,
Wow.
and then he had to like, then it just became me and Nikki because Emerson had to like take a minute to like pull himself together. And then he comes back in and like tries to double team me again and punched him again.
It fucking sucked, dude.
Did you get the wind knocked out of you or something?
Horrible.
That sucks.
Oh
He
god.
just got punched straight in the throat twice.
Oh
It's really
man.
funny.
That sucked.
That
But
sucks.
what I'm
man.
saying is like it would have been interesting. Like we did those knife fights at Nikki's. It would be interesting to do a 2v1 knife fight. Like with plastic knives. Like obviously. Like just to see.
Those are hard. The knives are harder because with the swords you have to like swing. It takes longer.
Yeah.
But with the knife, it's just like this, and so two people can get you if everybody has knives. Like two people can get you.
Remember,
Pretty easy.
you did a 2v1 against Wolf and Oscar with knives or someone, and you threw your knife.
I always throw the knife. They never
Yeah.
expect it.
And
Yeah.
Oscar didn't do anything, and then you killed Oscar and scalped
I
him.
act like I'm gonna try to stab them, but I instead just throw the knife at their head, causing them to like, and then I just tackle and wrestle them, and like either get their knife or get my knife and like kill them.
Yeah, and scalp them. I remember.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Roundup, anything?
I'm trying to think. Not really anything for me, I don't think.
How far are you in Sopranos?
I'm on the second to last episode of season 2.
How far are you, Everett?
Well, I'm like powering through it. I think I'm almost at 6.1. So I'm at the end of
Oh.
5.
Okay. The end of 5 is a good one. 6.1 is members only. I'm at halfway through 6 right now. But I probably won't finish it because I'm doing it with the podcast. The podcast is okay though. Michael Imperioli and Steve Sharippa, who play Michael and Bobby, they did not admit that the movie was bad.
Really?
And I don't like them anymore because of that. Like they really
What did they say about it?
They acted like it was like as good as the show. Like they just praised the shit out of it. And I get that they're like related to these people and like, you know, they're a Sopranos podcast and obviously they would promote it. But like to just ignore like all the clear flaws. Like you won't even discuss it. You're just gonna keep talking about how great it was in general. Like stupid. They really just praised their friends like performances, and that is, whatever. Um, I have been watching. So do you guys remember that show I really like, The Life and Times of Tim
Yes.
on
Didn't they come out
HBO?
with they came out with like a sister series or something, right? Like,
Yeah, so they came out with a different one called 10-Year-Old Tom, and it's the same guy doing it, but he's a kid, and it's not as good. It's not bad, but it's not as good. Life and Times of Tim is legitimately funny. I think it's one of the funniest shows ever. 10-Year-Old Tom, like there might be 2 episodes that I would recommend. I also saw a couple episodes of Rick and Morty, the new season 5. I
mm,
like the turkey episode.
mm,
That one was funny, but overall there haven't been a whole there haven't been too many memorable ones that, yeah, not so good.
yeah, I could agree with that.
Um, what else? I don't think I watched much else. Yeah. All right. Did I? I feel like there was something else. I don't know. All right. Gaming. So there was DC Fandom,
Hmm.
and have you guys caught up with all that?
I've seen I saw like the trailers for some of the movies.
Yeah, bits and
So did
pieces.
you guys know there was a definitive edition of
Yeah, I've heard
GTA?
about this. The
Uh-huh.
trilogy that they're coming out with.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
they're remastering some of them, right? With
Yeah,
the
they're
Unreal Engine.
remastering 3 of them.
Huh.
The old one.
I'd buy that. Sounds like fun.
No. You're not going to be able to play online.
That's the only thing I would do. I would play them for the online, like San Andreas online, and like a modern would be really cool because it's GTA 3, GTA Vice City, and San
Yeah.
Andreas. And San Andreas is the only one I like know a bunch about, and that would be cool online, like driving around Las Vegas and like that would be cool. But I don't know.
I've bought that game too many times.
Mm.
Um. Okay, so Gotham Knights. I actually didn't see this teaser. Doubling down on the fact that Batman is dead. You'll be taking control of Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin, and perhaps most intriguingly Red Hood. Um, so that would be Red Hood from the Arkham series, I guess. We
Mm.
were hoping for a new Batman title, and while the Dark Knight isn't the lead, this is the next best thing. No, it's not. This is stupid. This is like they like Ghost Recon Batman. Like why would you make this game? Why wouldn't you just make another single
We're
player?
gonna are we gonna add the Arkham
I
series
bet
to
you
your
he's
chopping
not
block
actually
list?
dead. I bet it's gonna be
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah, you know I
Elliot-
wrote down your chopping block list, right? Like all those things that you listed down.
Okay. Why?
Because I want to keep a list of all the things that get ruined.
Yeah. I mean, why don't they feel like they can give us a single player story? Like so many of these games do well.
But they don't
At
do
all.
as well. That's the
I'll
problem.
add
The
Arkham to the
monetization
list.
model that like microtransactions aren't here now because it's okay, all these like free to play constant DLC online games. It's not just like magic, right? It's because like financially they must make bank.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But like The Last of Us made a shit ton of money, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it's made as much as like there's no like I bet you like Activision like from COD makes more, and it's just because The Last of Us, you buy it, you play it, right? Done.
Mhm.
But when you
Right.
this is how you get people to play a little bit more, pay a little bit more, a little bit more. Even if you only buy like one little thing for like $15 or $5, that's more money than you would have made off just purchasing the game once. Like you're making more in the long run. It's the same with movies. Like they've found a formula that gives them max return and they just follow it.
Right.
Yeah.
Um so then there was the other one, which is the Suicide Squad. Did you guys see that trailer?
Justice
Yep.
League killed the Suicide Squad. I saw
It
it. I didn't
seems
look
like
at it.
Guardians of the Galaxy, but for DC.
You know, the trailer didn't look that bad, if I'm being honest. Um
You
you got
hated
this.
the initial reveal.
Yeah, I think I kind of got them a little mixed up. Like I thought they were both kind of this online multiplayer thing. This game seems to be like a linear story. So they showed the Justice League in the Arkham universe. Did you guys see those images?
So it is
No.
the Arkham universe.
I believe so. There's no Batman.
Yeah, there is. It showed the Batmobile in it. Remember?
Yeah, but I think it's Robin.
Oh, okay.
Because you see Robin. You see them fight Robin. I think. You saw Green Lantern.
Well, wait a minute. If that's in the Arkham universe, Harley Quinn looks way different.
Well, since when does that mean anything?
We've seen like a couple different iterations of her, but
Oh, okay, here we go. So there's the Flash. They're all like sort of poisoned by something. Who is that? Is that Wonder Woman? I thought that was Robin. So I
That's
don't know.
Wonder
Maybe
Woman.
Batman is in
That's
it. I
Wonder
don't
Woman.
know. Green Lantern. So yeah. I don't know if I like these
I like
designs.
the look of Green Lantern. I like Green Lantern. He looks pretty cool.
Green Lantern looks the best.
Flash's weird ear trails look too long. Whatever,
Yeah.
like
Or
his
are they supposed to be like taken control of by something? I don't
I
understand.
think
Yeah.
it's Brainiac,
Yeah, they
right?
are. And that's why you have to kill them. Yeah, I think it's Brainiac. So I don't know.
Like a God of War type thing.
The trailer didn't look bad. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be my favorite game, but I thought it was going to be like something I wouldn't even look at. And like, I'll give it a shot. I'll look at some reviews.
Okay.
Trailers. Okay, we got some big trailers. I don't know. I'm just going to go through the news now because it's basically all about the trailers.
Alright.
So the Batman McFarlane toys, we got a closer look at these characters. Here's the Riddler with like some
Looks
weird
a
ass
little,
mask.
Uh,
Robert Pattinson's Batman.
he looks a little awkward wearing that.
Yeah. Batman always looks a little awkward just standing there. Like you're not supposed to get a good look at him. When you do, it always looks weird. Except Keaton.
Yeah.
He had like a good cowl. So yeah, Catwoman is cat burglar. I don't know why she has to wear the ears, but whatever.
Well, how else would you know she's Catwoman otherwise?
Yeah, I mean it is kind of like, so is she's really leaning into like the cat thing because
She kind of reminds me
She's-
of like a Twitch skin from Rainbow Six.
he looks like the Unbreakable guy.
Well, Mr. Glass
In
or
that poncho. Didn't he wear a poncho? Unbreakable?
Yeah.
Titans renewed for season 4. Pennyworth is officially moving to HBO Max for season 3. I don't even care. I just wanted to point out like it's on season 4. I never even like watched season 1. And
Yeah.
Pennyworth has been on for 3 seasons?
Yeah, I've never heard of that shit.
I thought Pennyworth was still in development.
Yeah,
It's
who's
so
watching
odd.
it?
The last real thing I heard about Titans was that it was god awful, and then somehow the consensus switched from it's terrible to it's great now.
Yeah, it's because Red Hood showed up randomly, and the nerds ate that up.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen it. I feel like the people on the show are really trying hard, but it doesn't seem like it has much substance to me.
The only like I've heard like Nightwing's armor looks cool, like you can kind of see. I've heard Beast Boy is extremely underpowered. He can only transform into like 2 animals. And also Starfire is also supremely underpowered.
CGI nerfs.
Yeah.
I don't even really know who whatever. Aquaman, new look at him.
That's the new look.
He didn't look bad in the last one, did he?
No, I thought he looked really
The helmet
good.
was kind of weird.
This one looks
It's the same
much
helmet,
worse.
isn't it?
No, that his last helmet was not as silver as that. That looks like a 60s villain.
I mean, it's comic accurate. Oh,
Yeah, but the other one looked much better.
I don't remember. I remember thinking it didn't look bad.
It was more black.
And
Yeah.
it was less circular.
It wasn't like
That's not it, is it?
that is
That
it.
is it.
This is the one in Aquaman?
Yes.
I think that looks much better.
That's a screen grab from Aquaman.
This looks bad.
I think that looks better.
He looks weird as fuck.
He's got like a fake 6-pack or something on the other one.
Yeah, but This one isn't much better.
I prefer this one over that one.
I got to see more.
That's the Fortnite one.
I don't know. You know, I think I watched this movie one time.
Yeah, I
That was
only
it.
watched it once.
I saw it in theaters once and my screen broke down.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm being honest, I know his helmet is like the best part, but it also is pretty stupid. Like
I love
it's
Black
not
Panther.
intimidating. It's weird.
He's got stupid bubble eyes, but I love him as a villain. Yeah, that
Such a clunky helmet, but whatever. The Flash.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh wait, this is DC fandom. This is like in general, they're saying that they showed a bunch of stuff, but they did not actually like reveal anything because everything was already known,
hmm
more or less.
I thought that the teaser for this was fine.
Yeah, I mean they gave a lot of stuff away.
I
It
didn't
looked
mind. You see
interesting.
Supergirl right there, and you see another version of him right there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I thought, and like, Batman, obviously, like, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a perfect teaser.
Well, the whole teaser was basically about Batman. Isn't he
Yeah.
narrating it?
Or he's
Michael
speaking
Keaton.
over. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing a voiceover.
And then like we see his mask, and you know what? I'm there for the Batman. What else can I say?
Maybe you'll get a more modern Hot Toys figure of him.
Oh, for sure we will. What was like? Don't you think he was acting weird in this one?
Yeah, that was fucking super strange. He was,
Ezra
like,
Miller's an
acting
awkward guy.
really- yeah, but like, I was like, why the fuck are you talking? Like, just be quiet and show. He's like, I'm sorry, because it's not done yet.
Yeah.
Like he was acting like it was like I don't know. It was very strange. I did not like it.
I don't know how to feel about that outfit.
I didn't see any outfit that I thought was particularly good.
I like his Justice League outfit. It looks homemade. This one looks more.
Yeah, a lot of people hated it because it's
Rubbery.
not comic accurate. Whatever.
Fuck
Did
being
you guys see the
comic accurate.
Peacemaker trailer?
No,
Yeah,
I heard about it.
I saw it.
What do you think, Everett?
I hate Peacemaker. It doesn't look as bad as I was expecting, but it still doesn't look great.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, is the writing going to be good? Because I don't think so. I think you're
Remember
trying to
when
be
we
funny,
thought
and
he
I don't
wasn't
care.
going to get a show, but then he
Yeah,
just did.
Yeah.
I guess they did. It's already filming, I guess.
Same. And then we got some concept art from Batgirl.
Hmm.
So we haven't really talked about what you guys think of the Batman trailer.
I don't know.
So I actually think that.
You didn't talk about the Shazam stuff or the Black Adam stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Black Adam. That wasn't even mentioned in the.
They had like a small teaser, but whatever.
Let's see.
Oh, the Batman thing.
Let's talk about Black Adam first.
Okay.
I'll just try to play it on this.
You don't want to get DMCA'd, but
I didn't care for the Black Adam reveal.
It's very brief. It's most of it's concept art.
Yeah, it's a lot of concept art, and then I think it's just him in the black cloud, like shooting lightning at a guy.
He like incinerates a dude.
Yeah.
Like turns him to ash.
It wasn't much, to be honest. But I don't want it to play. Like I like the tone and vibe of this trailer. I think Paul Dano is like one of the best actors around.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm excited for.
I liked the Riddler in general. I just like what they're doing with him. Like that seems like a cool way to go.
If they do, it's hard to write the Riddler because you have to write riddles, and it has to be like a narrative thing. You know, it has to like speak to the story. It can't just be like random riddles.
Oh, you don't want it to devolve into like the Jim Carrey-esque Riddler.
Even that one was related to the plot mainly. It's hard. It's very difficult. So I wonder what they have in store. I hope they go super dark with it.
Here's hoping, but
I like
cautiously
that
optimistic.
I like that they're not like showing his face in this trailer just because it kind of builds him up a little bit. But what the hell is he saying here? What does he say?
I don't remember what he says in the trailer. I don't know.
Let's see. Is it a music? It doesn't say. Yeah, he says something that I don't. It's like unintelligible, and it sounds like it doesn't make sense what he says. Um, I think that he seems to be an okay Bruce Wayne, and I think the action will be good.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm sold on him like as a Batman. Like, what's he going to be like when he's just standing there talking? I do like certain aspects though, certain hints, like the fact that he's like a one man army, like he's out of control. I like that. If you recall, when we saw Batman vs Superman, I said you should have had a younger Batman who was like waging all out war on the criminals of Gotham, but it wasn't making a difference. So he had become like this absolute out of control monster. And he's like disillusioned because of the fact that he's not really changing anything. He's just like destroying people every night. But it doesn't stop the crime.
Yeah.
And then he thinks that his purpose might be to kill Superman instead, like to save humanity instead. And then he can't. And Superman shows him like what it means to be a hero. And then like moving forward, he's a more leveled out superhero. But this idea, this like psychotic, young, violent Batman, I like that. So I'm very much on board with that part. Robert Pattinson seems to have that part down. Like whatever, if it was his idea or if like the director has coached him along to like nail that part, it seems like they have nailed it. He's vicious.
Okay.
There was one screen grab of Catwoman being like, Jesus Christ, like stop punching those people. Is it here? Yeah, see that?
Yeah.
Where she's like, what the like that's I like that. For a young Batman, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
What else?
it's gonna be interesting.
I'm not so sold on him based on the little piece that we saw of Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
I don't see Alfred there, and like they're trying to make him badass with the scar on his eye and whatever. That might have
I'm
been.
gonna
A
be
little
honest.
too-
I see Claw when I look at him still.
Yeah,
Or, the critically acclaimed director of Let There Be Carnage.
this wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that car. We'll see it when the movie comes, but
Yeah, I don't like that car. It's not comic-y enough as a way. That's the best way I could describe it. It looks too. I don't
I think
know.
the Batmobile needs some swagger.
Yeah,
And I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
it's
That
got
car
the
looks
jet
like,
on the end, I guess, but
when you
whatever.
look at the Batmobile, you should think like, holy shit, this guy is on a different level in terms of like what he has access to. Whereas this one, it looks like a guy fixed it up in his garage. But we haven't seen it in action. What do you think about Colin Farrell? in this
He's
The
Batman?
so
Penguin?
unrecognizable. It blows my mind.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. This is a cool shot though.
Yeah. No, I like it. I'm excited for it. I am.
Cautiously
March 4th.
optimistic.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't care that it's Robert Pattinson. He doesn't do much for me. I also think he looks weird when it's like Bruce Wayne. Oh,
He
there was
looks
that one.
He's got that emo haircut.
Yeah, maybe because he's like insane. So, um, he looks a little weird. But a lot of the Batman do. When you just look at him, when you just look at their face, it's it's a little weird. This part,
Where he's getting shot. Yeah.
I think that's really cool. I just think if you're gonna make it like on a practical level, the fact that his face is wide open.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah.
That part is stupid. Like, it's a cool scene, but it's like, what the fuck, bro? He's just like one ricochet. Dude, some of these screen grabs out of context are really funny.
Like people make fun of Falcon's headgear because it has he looks weird here. That doesn't seem like Bruce Wayne to me, but
Looks like Andy Warhol.
yeah, they could have given him like a better A hairstyle, I think. Interesting. The nose isn't pointy.
Some of these screen grabs are funny.
Interesting though. So like, do you think they're gonna make a sequel? They absolutely will, won't they?
Oh,
Well,
for sure.
Depends on if it makes enough money, I guess.
I think it's gonna make some cash. I do.
They just can't get their universe going, can they?
No, it sucks.
Cautiously optimistic.
It sucks.
Okay, I think that's it.
Did you guys hear there's like a minor leak about Into the Spider-Verse 2?
No, what is
No.
it?
Supposedly the release date and the title got leaked. The title's not that
Oh yeah,
great.
I heard about the title.
What is it?
Across the Spider-Verse. So, and then it's coming out next year, like third quarter, I think.
Those are the leaks?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
think
thought there
that's-
was
that's
like
just-
some story stuff.
No, that's what I heard.
Okay,
My game of smartass.
Oh yeah.
Or do
All
you
right.
keep forgetting?
I did forget this time.
That's fine.
Every time.
All right. Well, since you forgot, Emerson can go first.
Okay. First, I really wanted to say classic for some reason, and I was like, wait, that's not a category. Thing.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. This item's first appearance was in the year 1990. It has appeared across all forms of media, meaning film, comics, television, and games. You can buy a replica of this item right now on Amazon for $246. This item is extremely durable and has been shown to take large amounts of punishment and still function.
Is that in real life?
I'm not telling you anything besides the hints because that'll give you hints.
Okay.
This item was most recently seen in a television show from this year. This item was heavily damaged beyond repair at one point and was never fully destroyed.
The Infinity Gauntlet.
Correct. Nice job.
Oh.
All righty. You got place and person next.
Place.
All right. This place's first appearance was in the year 1997. It is speculated that about 1,000 people are living here at any given time. It is located next to a large lake and a forest. This location receives its funding from the government. It has a variety of merchandise associated with it, including but not limited to Legos, puzzles, props, and clothing. It has-
Hogwarts?
Say that again?
Hogwarts?
Correct. Nice.
Okay.
Hey, all right.
When you said it was funded by the government, that took me in a weird fucking direction. I was like, wait.
Yeah, I saw a thing on the wiki saying that the Hogwarts was funded by the ministry. So whatever. Anyway, person's the last one. Here we go. This person is about 5'8". Their first appearance was in the year 2019. They have never appeared in film, but have appeared in multiple episodes of a television series. They were originally an officer of very high rank. They were described as imposing and ruthless and were even willing to kill their own men to get their way. They were eventually taken prisoner after attempting suicide. They wore dark-colored battle armor and a cape. They worked in the Imperial Security Bureau. They commanded a group of robotic assault troopers.
Moff Gideon.
Correct. Nice job. Do you want the extra question?
Who the
I'm
fuck
gonna
is
get
that?
it wrong.
Moff
It's-
Gideon is Giancarlo Esposito from The Mandalorian.
From
Oh, okay.
I'll get the
You're,
extra question, but I'm gonna get it wrong.
Your extra question is, what number episode was Moff Gideon's first appearance in The
Oh
Mandalorian?
fuck, bro! I barely even watched the show.
I just want the number. I don't need the title.
His first appearance.
Mhm.
Like him or like his hand.
His first appearance. His first appearance on screen.
How many episodes were there?
Fuck, I don't have that information.
Is that? Are you supposed to give him that information?
I'm not. No, I guess not. So thank you for reminding me.
7.
Holy shit, that was right. Okay,
What?
Yeah,
that was right.
yeah. Well, are there 8? Are there 8 episodes?
I
I
would.
don't
I don't remember, but
Because I just was like, I think there were 8 episodes, so I'm assuming he
You
appears
got it
in
right.
episode 7.
All right, you got double points for that. So current score is Emerson 49, Kia 43.
God damn it.
I feel like the score, like the distance between us, doesn't change at all, though.
It's
It
bigger
does
now than it
sometimes.
was.
You guys get close, but someone always like widens the gap at some point.
I've been on a losing streak. When is the year up? Is it January 1st?
Yeah.
Well, it's our end of the year review or whatever. That's
Yeah.
when I'll do the final.
I don't
game
think I can catch up.
Well, you might. That final game gives you a lot of points, so you never know.
So looking forward, there's Dune next week,
Okay.
or
gonna
there
watch
is
it.
No Time to Die.
I'd rather
Dune.
do Dune.
Dune.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to another long ass movie though.
But can't we watch Dune at home because it's coming out on HBO
You
Max?
can
Can
watch
we?
it on HBO. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, we can. Oh, sweet.
That's why I'm saying Dune, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see it in the theaters, unfortunately.
Do you
Don't
choose
want
to?
No, it's my parents' anniversary and they love Dune, so I'm going with them.
Look, I mean, it's a cool movie, but the opportunity to watch it at home, like, I can't pass that up.
Yeah, whatever. I'm going 3:00 on a Tuesday, so hopefully there's nobody there.
All right, everyone who's listening to this, show up to your local theater at 3:00 on a Tuesday.
Sit near the corners for the best movie going experience.
All right.
We still
Okay.
haven't addressed that, dude.
You want my real reasoning?
Yes.
It's my own minor paranoia. I like sitting in the corner firstly because when I used to go with my parents, the way the AMC works out here is that there's the back row of seats, and then right below that is the handicapped section. So I could sit in the corner and like make sure my parents were okay while I'm watching the movie. Also, my own personal paranoia, where if I sit in the corner and God forbid something awful happens in that theater, like someone
can't
comes in
escape.
and attacks. No, it's right next to the exit. It's like right by the door. All I have to do is hop over the guardrail and I'm
I
right
guess
there.
I didn't realize not all the theaters have an exit in the very back
Well, there's
of
at
the
least
corner.
well, there's like 2 types of theater at the AMC I go to. There's like the big one, which has 2 exits, but then there's the smaller one that only has 1, and that's always right by where the corner I sit. So it's more, it's
Okay.
like my minor safety thoughts.
Okay.
All right. All right. We'll see you guys next time with Dune. Another
See you
new
guys.
movie.
See ya.